Chapter 1189. The dense fog gathered and the television drama stopped at this point. Gu Mingming smiled and said, I haven't seen Bai Lan for a long time. I wonder how she is doing now. I wonder if she has toned down that impulsive personality of hers? The beast deity smiled without replying. Gu Mingming stretched lazily and stood up, saying, Father, I plan to go find the heart of the desert. How much do you know about the legendary Baiyan? Can you reveal a little? The beast deity did not seem surprised by Gu Mingming's question at all and nodded, saying, Baiyan. The beast deity's expression had a tinge of melancholy, which surprised Gu Mingming. She tilted her head and asked, Father, you know him? The beast deity snapped out of his trance and chuckled, nodding, saying, Yeah, an old acquaintance. Gu Mingming's eyes brightened, saying, Then tell me quickly, what likes and dislikes does he have? I heard that he is the guardian of the heart of the desert. I have to build a good relationship with him to obtain the heart of the desert. The beast deity thought about it and shook his head, saying, He is a very strange person. Liking or disliking him all depends on first impressions. As long as he thinks that you are a good person at first glance, then even if you slaughter all the living beings in the world, he will still stand by your side and help you stir up a storm of blood in this world. If he thinks that you are a bad person at first glance, then even if you are the benevolent Guanyin who has descended to the mortal world to save the world, he will not give you a good look. So, Gu Mingming facepalmed speechlessly, saying, So he is a capricious uncle who judges others based on his own likes and dislikes. Uncle? The beast deity asked. Gu Mingming nodded and said matter-of-factly, You are my father and you are old acquaintances with him. He is one of Wang Xiaoxin's partners, although he was abandoned, but they are still ex-wife and ex-husband, right? Snake is Wang Xiaoxin's son, which means that Baiyan is his little father. No matter what, I have to call him uncle, right? The beast deity chuckled and nodded, rubbing Gu Mingming's head, saying, Yeah, our daughter is so polite, good upbringing, good upbringing. Speechless, Gu Mingming looked at the heavens, saying, That means whether I can win this uncle's favor depends on luck? The beast deity thought about it, nodding. You can say that. Dad, what's your relationship with this uncle? If I use your face, will it increase the affinity? Gu Mingming asked. The beast deity was in a difficult position. I'm afraid the title of the beast deity's daughter is useless in the beast world only in front of him. Dad, you didn't pursue Wang Xiaoxin before, did you? Gu Mingming looked at the beast deity in shock. She did not wish for her stepmother to be like Wang Xiaoxin, a goddess who could not be understood by others. She was a psychopath. The beast god rubbed his nose and smiled faintly. I've never pursued Wang Xiaoxin, but I have something to do with her breaking up with Higan. So, you understand. Damn it. Gu Mingming felt as if she had been struck by lightning. She was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. In the beast world, how much would the person who separated a husband and wife be hated? Gu Mingming did not even dare to think about it. This time, Gu Mingming felt that if she dared to admit that she was the daughter of the beast deity, Baiyan would tear her apart on the spot. Chapter 1190. The beast deity smiled awkwardly. He rubbed his nose. To get the love of the sky, you must first be able to fly. But you and your partner clearly do not possess this ability. Only vultures can bring you to the love of the sky. But the problem is that vultures usually do not appear in places you can reach. As for the spirit of the rocky cliffs, you have no idea at all, right? According to the rules, I cannot reveal anything you do not know, so, Gu Mingming facepalmed. So I can only find the heart of the desert now, right? The beast deity nodded. The good news is that Baiyan knows someone from the vulture tribe. If you can win his favor, he will at least have a way for you to meet them. Gu Mingming's eyes brightened. The vultures boast that they are closest to the sky and the beast deity, so they must be your diehard fans? I'll be able to use your face in front of the vulture race to increase my favorability, right? The beast deity did not know whether to laugh or cry at Gu Mingming's words. She really behaved like his own daughter, willful and mischievous in front of her parents. She did not even care about her words. The arrogant and haughty attitude she had when she was in the beast world was nowhere to be seen. She was just like a spoiled child, crying for her favorite toy in front of her parents. The beast deity rubbed Gu Mingming's little head. Sure. In front of the vulture tribe. Go ahead and use your father's name to strut around. Tell them that if they dare to disobey my precious daughter, I will punish all the females in their tribe, so that none of them will get pregnant for the next 5 years. Gu Mingming burst out laughing. Father, you are abusing your power. Won't you be investigated by the Independent Commission Against Corruption? The beast deity poked Gu Mingming's little head. I only watch romance dramas. I don't watch Hong Kong police dramas. I do not know anything about the Independent Commission Against Corruption. But for my precious daughter, I will not hesitate to be investigated. I am your father after all. Gu Mingming pounced into the beast deity's arms. Papa, you are so nice. The beast deity was still smiling benevolently. He patted Gu Mingming's back. All right, hurry and go. Gu Mingming nodded. Oh, the same question. Wabi. The beast god shook his head, indicating that he still couldn't say. Gu Mingming did not continue speaking. She knew that the beast deity would naturally tell her if he could. He stood up, patted his butt, and said, Dad, I'll be leaving first. Wait. The beast deity stopped Gu Mingming and cleared his throat. That world has a song called Sorrow of Separation. Do you know how to sing it? Gu Mingming thought for a while and nodded. Yes, that song is quite popular. Dad, do you want to listen? Can I sing for you? The beast deity shook his head. Next time, I'm afraid your little wolf is getting impatient. Gu Mingming nodded and hugged the beast deity. Then father, I will leave first. Lying on his back, he was in a weightless free fall. Gu Mingming felt that if the current her returned to the modern world, she should be able to play bungee jumping without fear. Opening her eyes, Gu Mingming was not in the cave. Instead, she was basking in the sun on the empty ground outside the cave. Chapter 1191. She chuckled. This was the first time Gu Mingming had not heard Elvis's gentle greeting after waking up, but little shit's rebuke after an entire winter. Opening her mouth, Elvis reached for a cup of water from the side, as if he was already prepared for it. He helped Gu Mingming moisten her throat. Gu Mingming smiled after drinking the water. That's right. I am going to leave you behind to play alone. So what, are you going to bite me? Wabi gritted his teeth and glared at her. I came all the way here to find you, and you are going to leave me behind to play alone? Gu Mingming, you have no conscience. TSK, a cold-blooded animal like you wants to talk about conscience with me? Did a donkey kick your brain? Gu Mingming spoke with no conscience at all. Wabi stiffened his neck. I don't care, I am going to follow you. Where are you going to play? You must bring me along or else I will break the legs of your little wolf pups and wretched foxes. Gu Mingming stretched out her slender legs. What's the point of beating my man? Break my legs if you can. I can't beat you. Wabi admitted confidently. Gu Mingming was so amused by Wabi that she burst into laughter until tears came out. Wiping the corners of her eyes, Gu Mingming said, We are going to the desert this time. Do you know what a desert is? No water, dry and hot. This kind of climate is not suitable for you. You will suffer. Wabi rolled his eyes and laughed in disdain. Where do you think Snake brought me back to the Snake King Valley from? Gu Mingming was taken aback. Don't tell me, your hometown is also the Mecca Desert? Also, Wabi grasped the key word. Gu Mingming pointed at Oriton, who was sitting at the entrance of the cave, eagerly waiting for his meal. Him too. Wabi clicked his tongue. I haven't been back for over 800 years. I didn't know that anyone could enter that place now. Wabi's image in Gu Mingming's eyes instantly grew bigger. Gu Mingming blinked at Wabi, and even tried to curry favor with him. Wabi, do you know Bayan? Are the two of you close? Wabi nudged Gu Mingming in disdain. Speak properly. You are so disgusting. Gu Mingming's expression also changed instantly. She gave Wabi a disdainful shove and looked at Elvis adorably. She pouted her lips and acted cute. Hubby, I'm not cute like this. Elvis's face flushed red and even the tips of his ears turned pink. His throat tightened and his fingers trembled slightly from the intense beating of his heart. He held onto Gu Mingming's shoulders and said in a low voice, Other than me and Leah, Don't show this expression to anyone else. I will go crazy, understand? Gu Mingming's vanity was greatly satisfied. She pounced into Elvis's arms and hugged him tightly. Then, she raised her voice and said in a Lolita voice, "Hubby, you're so naughty, you only know how to coax me, thump thump." Elvis's heartbeat was deafening. Yeah, Gu Mingming thought about it. It seemed that after mating, she rarely acted cute in front of Elvis. Chapter 1192. Now that she thought about it, she had really let her guard down. If this was the modern world, wouldn't it be easy for her man to be snatched away? After all, after being married for 2 to 3 years, holding his wife's hand was like holding his left hand with his right hand. If she still couldn't maintain her image, those lascivious men outside would not be easy to deal with. Gu Mingming patted Elvis's chest lightly and pressed her cheek against his chest. She said in a normal tone and expression, "All right, this is an expression that only belongs to you and Leah. I won't let anyone else see it." Elvis tried his best to breathe before calming down his erratic heartbeat. Gu Mingming comforted Elvis before standing up to look at Wabi. "Did you see that? This is the reaction of a normal male. What disgusting. TSK, serves you right to be a bachelor for the rest of your life, and the kind that stirred shit." Wabi, who was forced to swallow a mouthful of dog food, refused to converse with Gu Mingming. He even rolled his eyes at her. All right, let's talk properly." Gu Mingming stopped fooling around and asked directly, "Hurry up and tell me, are you familiar with Bayan?" "No, I've never seen him before." Wabi lazily leaned against the seat beside Gu Mingming. "I was indeed born in the Mecca Desert, but when I was born, he was already more than 200 years old. How could I have met him before? But come to think of it, you were picked up by Snake from the Mecca Desert? But why can't he remember anything about you?" Gu Mingming found it rather strange. There were many things in Snake's memory, but she couldn't seem to recall anything about Wabi. She just felt that he should have been by Snake's side all along, always, and not just met at a certain place and then got together. Wabi scared. "I'm not you. Why would he remember everything about me so clearly? Moreover, it was 800 years ago when he picked me up. No matter how good his memory is, he can't possibly remember everything so clearly, right?" That was true, but he clearly remembered things from even earlier, so why couldn't he remember anything about the Mecca Desert? Gu Mingming found it rather strange, but didn't probe further. "So you can adapt to the desert climate? Of course, is there anything in this world that I can't do?" Gu Mingming didn't continue provoking Wabi. She thought to herself that Bayan was so crazy that he judged a person based on his mood. If she brought along a powerful person, her chances of winning would be higher if the negotiation failed. He nodded and said, All right, let's go together then." Only then did Wabi's expression soften a little. "That's more like it. When are we leaving?" Gu Mingming looked at Leah and asked, "Have the people we sent returned?" Leah nodded. "Qixian said he will see to it. Do as you see fit." "What should I do as I see fit?" Gu Mingming frowned, not understanding what her son was thinking. Leah sprawled lazily behind Gu Mingming, using his chest as a backrest for her. He played with her hair nonchalantly as he said, "Qixian is a male and is more mature than the other 3. Try to trust him. I don't think he'll let you down. After all, he is also afraid of your ultimate weapon." Chapter 1193. Ultimate Weapon? Mine. What is it? Did Gu Mingming have something that could control her entire family? Why didn't she know? Leah bit Gu Mingming's ear and said, "I am not telling you. What if you use it to bully me?" Humph. With that, Leah waved his tail and handed Gu Mingming over to Elvis and said, "I am going to cook. If I don't, that good-for-nothing tiger will stomp a hole in the ground in our house." After Leah left, Elvis held Gu Mingming's hand and hesitated for a moment before asking, "Did you ask about that matter?" Gu Mingming nodded and said, "Father said yes, but you must become a beast king first." Elvis pursed his lips and then chuckled and said, "Looks like we are determined to get the heart of the desert. That's why I especially want to know about Bayan. He is the guardian of the heart of the desert, but his judgment of a person depends entirely on his mood. If you can like him, everything will be fine, but if you are hated by him, it would be best if he can voluntarily hand it over. If not, then we will just snatch it. Elvis's tone was calm but firm and filled with absolute confidence. Wabi-I laughed coldly and said, "You can't even defeat me and you still want to fight Bayan? Don't forget, when I was born he was already at his peak for 200 years. Even Snake did not gain any advantage over him. What makes you think you can do it?" Elvis raised his eyebrows and chuckled. "If it is to protect Xiaomeng, there is nothing I cannot do." Wabi-I stretched his arms lazily and said, "Fight." "That's what I was thinking." With that, Elvis kissed Gu Mingming's forehead and said, "Be good and stay at home. I might be back later today. Let Leah cook for you and don't wait for me, understand?" Gu Mingming nodded and looked at Wabi-I and then at Elvis and said, "Don't destroy Saint Nazir." "So long-winded," Wabi-I said impatiently, and then took the lead to swim away. Elvis hugged Gu Mingming and kissed her again before transforming into a wolf and following Wabi-I. Gu Mingming hopped back to Li's side and laid on his back in boredom, watching him cook. She gestured to add more potatoes and more chili. Then he watched as Oratin burst out into laughter after hearing Gu Mingming say to add more chili, but he pretended to be nonchalant. Leah liked it when Gu Mingming clung on to him. Ever since she broke up with him, she rarely clung on to him like this. That's right, Elvis was the first partner and he had the absolute priority. And this priority was something he willingly gave up, so he could not fight for it now. "Are you at ease to let them go out like that?" Leah asked as he added the ingredients that Gu Mingming had requested. Gu Mingming clicked her tongue and said, "Little shit knows that Bayan is not easy to deal with, so he is helping Elvis to improve his abilities. The two of them will know when to stop. They won't kill each other." Leah scooped a piece of meat from the pot and blew on it to cool it before sending it into Gu Mingming's mouth. "Yeah, we still have quite a lot of medicine for external injuries at home. Let them use it when they return. How does the meat taste? Do you need more salt?" Chapter 1194. As they were about to leave, Oratin received special permission to spend the night outside Gu Mingming's cave. He had long gotten used to the life of a vagrant, and did not have the habit of not being able to sleep unless he was in his own cave. The temptation of being able to accurately eat every meal prepared by Leah was too great for him, so he gladly agreed to it. Barit and Joshua were called to the vicinity of the cave by Leah to instruct them on things to take note of for the next year. After all, it was uncertain when Gu Mingming would return from this trip, whether it was distributing water during the winter, storing food during the rainy season, or preventing other tribes from snatching like the previous rainy season. These were all matters that required finesse. And also, after they left, there would probably be a wave of stray beasts attacking. Leah trusted Barit, but Joshua was still under observation, so Leah did not intend to let Joshua know that the young master of the stray beasts was Qi Xian. So he only said that Gu Mingming had arranged for the females to bring their cubs up to the highest mountain in Saint Nazir to receive the first ray of sunlight for 3 consecutive days. That would be a blessing from the beast deity. However, Maya was pregnant with a precious female cub, and the great messenger had special instructions for her to rest well, so she did not need to go this time. Barit had been by Li's side longer than Gu Mingming, so he naturally understood what Li's smile meant. Only Maya would receive special treatment? It seemed like there was a special program specially prepared for Maya. After all, Leah had never really cared about the lives of other females other than Gu Mingming. "I understand." Barit gave a simple reply. Leah patted Barit's shoulder and said, "Don't forget, your life now belongs to our Mingming. Before she agrees, don't die so easily." Barit replied. Joshua clenched his fists, his gaze drifting towards Gu Mingming, who was sunbathing not far away. But he did not have the courage to go over and greet her, so he could only ask Leah softly, "After you leave, when will you return?" Leah pretended to think for a moment, then suddenly laughed and said, "I don't know. Our itinerary has always been based on Mengming's mood. Whether she wants to go up to the sky or down to the sea, it's up to her. The place she wants to go is our destination. I only follow and don't ask." "That's true," She is the messenger of the beast deity. Of course she should. You seem to be mistaken. Leah lightly tapped his lips and said, I am indulging her not because she is some messenger of the beast deity, but because she is my female. With that, Leah waved his tail and left without looking back. Joshua could only clench his fists secretly as he watched Leah step into the bright and beautiful land where Gu Mengmeng was. One day, he also wanted to have that kind of strength, to be able to let her do whatever she wanted. That way, he would have the right to be like Leah, walking towards her step by step and saying with a smile, Mengmeng, I'm back. Gu Mengmeng opened her arms and gestured for a hug, while Leah pulled her into his arms, allowing her to mess around in his arms like a kitten. Elvis said he would come back later, but in reality, he did not come back at all that night. Chapter 1195. The two bloodied men supported each other as they limped back under the setting sun. Gu Mengmeng's vision was blurry, and she felt that their blood was all over the ground. Leah rolled his eyes and looked at Gu Mengmeng. You said they knew their limits? They were clearly beating them to death. Oriton and Leah each carried Elvis and Wabi on their shoulders, and placed them where Gu Mengmeng usually basked in the sun. After all, their injuries were too serious. If they were moved into the cave, the smell of blood would linger for a long time. The cave was meant for Gu Mengmeng to stay in, and must not be tainted by this smell. Gu Mengmeng's heart ached, but Wabi's injuries were not any better than Elvis's, so she could not bring herself to reprimand them. She could only sullenly clean the bleeding wounds with a piece of animal skin dipped in clear water. Don't be angry. Elvis was extremely weak, but he still reached out to hold Gu Mengmeng, and coaxed her with a soft voice. Gu Mengmeng pushed Elvis's hand away and said coldly, I am not angry. After washing the animal skin, she continued to clean his wounds. Elvis smiled bitterly. You are not even smiling and you still say you are not angry? You are so badly injured and I still have to smile? Gu Mengmeng growled in a low voice. Elvis frowned and let out a low groan, as if he was in great pain. Gu Mengmeng was shocked and thought that she had touched his wounds with too much force. She anxiously threw away the animal skin, and held on to Elvis. What's wrong? Is it very painful? Leah, quickly come over and take a look. Elvis grabbed Gu Mengmeng's arm and pulled her into his arms. Gu Mengmeng was caught off guard and fell into Elvis's arms. She could even feel a warm liquid flowing on her arm. Damn it, she touched his wounds. But she did not dare to struggle. If she moved now, she would definitely suffer a second injury. Yes, it hurt so much. Elvis's voice was weak and hoarse. He said softly, just a kiss and it will not hurt anymore. With that, Elvis looked up and wanted to kiss Gu Mengmeng. Unfortunately, they were too far apart, and he could not reach her no matter how hard he tried. She lay back down dejectedly and said with a sorrowful face, I am still too weak. You are in my arms but I cannot kiss you. I'm really going crazy. Gu Mengmeng pulled her hand away and placed it beside Elvis's ear. Then she lowered her body and placed her lips on Elvis's lips. The kiss tasted like blood and their tongues intertwined with each other, expressing Gu Mengmeng's worries and Elvis's comforting words. He kissed Gu Mengmeng until her arms were trembling. She then raised her head and knelt beside Elvis, panting heavily while cleaning his wounds. She gritted her teeth and said fiercely, Don't think that I can't do anything to you just because you're injured. Wait till you've recovered, then I'll teach you a lesson. But Elvis's lips were still curled up, his gaze filled with tenderness as he gazed at Gu Mengmeng. Ha, I got scolded. Would Leah be envious of me again? He always envied some very strange things, such as you throwing potatoes at me, or chasing me out of the cave, or scolding me or twisting my ears. What should I do? I also feel blissful when you scold me. Have I been infected by Leah? Chapter 1196. How do you intend to punish me? Elvis was still smiling. He was seeing double after losing so much blood. It was great that he could see two Gu Mengmeng at the same time. His voice had also become rather ethereal. Even so, it sounded especially nice. He wanted to hear her say a few more words, even if she scolded him. Gu Mingming could feel that Elvis was forcing himself to stay awake. He was almost about to faint. Actually, fainting in such a situation was a good thing. That way, his body could enter a better state of hibernation and recovery. Sighing, Gu Mingming whispered into Elvis's ear. If it's especially painful and tired, sleep for a while. I will guard you, MMM. It was originally very painful. But after you kissed me, Xiao Meng, it stopped hurting. Elvis's eyelids were really too heavy. He could not hold on any longer, and could only slowly close them. He said weakly, I will sleep for a while. When I wake up, I will accompany you to the Mecca desert. Sleep. Gu Mingming kissed Elvis's face lightly, then heard his long and even breathing. Wabiai's condition was slightly better than Elvis's. He held on until Elvis fainted before laughing out loud. I was beaten up by that pervert snake for 800 years. You're still far from being able to withstand my blows. Too far. Wabiai's condition was much better than Elvis. He did not manage to finish his sentence before he fainted. Gu Mingming sighed. She could neither cry nor laugh. These two were really too much. Under Li's care, Elvis and Wabiai slept for 4 days before they woke up. Their wounds healed very well during this period. After all, Wabiai did not use poison when he fought with Elvis. Otherwise, Elvis would not be at this level. When Elvis woke up, Gu Mingming was lying beside him sleeping. Turning his body, Elvis gently carried Gu Mingming onto the bed, letting her lie comfortably in the crook of his arm. Her long eyelashes trembled slightly and her delicate brows were knitted together. Elvis's heart ached as he gently smoothed her brows. His heart was filled with guilt. She must have frowned in her dream because he was injured and unconscious. But he had no choice, he had to become stronger. Otherwise, even if he successfully obtained the heart of the desert in the Mecca desert, he would not be able to withstand the immense pressure of activating the Beast King bloodline. What would she do if he exploded in front of Gu Mingming? He and Leia knew how desperate she was when Snake died, and how long it took for her to recover from the gloom. He swore that he would never let Gu Mingming experience that kind of sadness again. Therefore, he had to become stronger. He had to become someone who could stand shoulder to shoulder with her. Only then would he be able to support her when the sky collapsed. Right now, these injuries were nothing. They were really nothing. As long as it was for her, no matter how much pain or how heavy the injury, he would be able to endure it with a smile. As long as he could see her when he opened his eyes, no matter how long he was in a coma, it would be enough. Chapter 1197. Perhaps she was too exhausted, but Gu Mingming slept exceptionally soundly. She only woke up the next day at dawn. Gu Mingming instinctively frowned as she felt a familiar warmth beside her. She seemed to have fallen asleep beside Elvis, but she wrapped her arms around Elvis's waist and touched it. This feeling, opening her eyes, she met Elvis's deep blue eyes and warm and doting gaze. His lazy and hoarse voice, unique to the morning mixed with his warm breath, blew onto Gu Mingming's face. Morning, my Xiao Meng. With that, Elvis kissed Gu Mingming's forehead lightly. Gu Mingming's lips curled up as she hugged Elvis fiercely. Burying her face in his chest, she sighed. You are finally awake, you big lazy worm. Yeah, I am a big lazy worm. Elvis enjoyed Gu Mingming throwing herself into his arms. He allowed her to burrow into his embrace, as if she had tunneled right through his chest and into his heart. So early in the morning, isn't it disgusting? Wabiai had woken up a day earlier than Elvis. He was leaning against the wall, watching the two of them out of the corner of his eye. Gu Mingming turned back to glance at Wabiai. She harumphed fiercely and ignored him. Elvis looked at Gu Mingming's little face that was pretending to be fierce and felt that it was extremely adorable. He pinched her and shook her a few times, then placed her in his palms and kissed her, saying, I am almost fully recovered. Shall we set off after breakfast? Gu Mingming looked up at Elvis. You just woke up. Don't you need to rest? Yeah, I'm fine. Gu Mingming nodded. She then got up to wash up and eat breakfast. In the 4 days that Elvis and Wabiai were unconscious, Fei Rui had already returned from the deep sea. Other than sea salt, he had also brought many small items from the sea for Gu Mingming. For example, beautiful shells, pearls of good color, beautiful corals and some seafood. Oriton was not very interested in pearls and corals. But for seafood, yeah, his eyes lit up. Seafood was different from other food. It could not be stored for too long. So Leah decided to make seafood for premature births. Seeing that Leah was about to roast the fish on a tree branch, Gu Mingming hurriedly stopped him. The last time we were at the beach, we didn't have enough cooking utensils. Now that we have everything at home, who would want to eat grilled fish? Go, set up the pot and boil some water. All right. Leah did not ask why and just did as Gu Mingming said. Gu Mingming used rattan to weave an irregular drawer and placed it in the stone pot as a separate layer. Then she placed the fish on the bamboo plate and smeared some sea salt on the fish. She added some ginger and chili in the belly before placing it on the drawer to steam. He felt his pulse and calculated the time. A normal person's heart rate was about 75 beats per minute. In modern times, farmed fish were boiled and steamed for 7 minutes. The flesh of saltwater fish was relatively tight, so it probably wouldn't be cooked in 7 minutes. In that case, it should be ready in 10 minutes. So Gu Mingming counted one by one, and when she counted to 750, she opened the lid of the pot and used a pair of chopsticks to pick at the belly of the fish. Realizing that there were still traces of blood on the bones, she covered it again and steamed it for another 2 minutes before taking it out of the pot. Chapter 1198. Leah wouldn't let Gu Mingming carry the fish from the pot for fear of scalding her little hands. After placing the fish on the dining table, Gu Mingming used her chopsticks to break the fish into pieces before distributing them to everyone. She only steamed one fish. If she didn't distribute it like that, the males wouldn't move their chopsticks and let her eat it alone. But this fish was not even enough to fill the gaps between the 5 males' teeth. It was just a taste at most. Oriton's eyes lit up. This made Gu Mingming wonder if Oriton was really a tiger? Wasn't he just reminding the bigger cats? Leah was also satisfied after eating. He sucked on his chopsticks and said, Fei Rue brought a few more fish. Anyway, we will be on our way after this meal. Why don't I steam all of them? Oriton nodded out of reflex. Gu Mingming smiled helplessly and said, But the fish is too big and the pot is too small. I can only steam one fish at a time. When will you be able to eat? Leah rubbed Gu Mingming's little head and said, Silly girl, have you forgotten? I am a male. It's fine not to eat for a few days. The eating habits of the beast world. But thinking about it, it would be a waste not to eat the fish that Fei Rue brought from afar. She nodded and said, Then shall I help you time it? All right. Leah added some more water to the pot and started to steam the fish after boiling. Gu Mingming sat beside him and felt her pulse to help him time it. Oriton held onto Fei Rue's shoulders and said, Bring more next time more. Fei Rue was actually a little afraid of land beasts. His heart was pounding when Oriton pressed down on him like a primary school student being blackmailed by a senior. His clear eyes were glistening with tears, and he looked like he was about to cry. Gu Mingming walked over and pushed Oriton. TSK, don't scare him. If you scare him so much that he won't dare to come back in the future, you won't even be able to eat a single fish scale. This was a very serious matter. Oriton looked at Fei Rue with a deep gaze and then bared his teeth. What? You still want to bite him? Gu Mingming looked at Oriton in shock. Oriton closed his mouth and returned to his expressionless face. He said, I'm giving him a friendly smile. Big brother, your gums are showing. Is that a smile? Isn't that a threat before the war? Gu Mingming turned back to look at Fei Rue, who was hiding behind her and clutching onto the corner of her shirt with his little hands. Look at how frightened little Fei Rue is. Sorry. Oriton took a step back and said, I can't control my facial expressions. Gu Mingming turned back and patted Fei Rue's shoulder. Don't be afraid of him, he is easy to bully. If he does something that makes you unhappy, just say, I won't bring fish back for you to eat anymore, and he'll be obedient. Fei Rue nodded seriously, then looked at Oriton and said softly, Don't bully me. I'll bring more fish back next year. Oriton's eyes lit up, after which he cautiously nodded his head and said, I will protect you in the future. Fei Rue looked at Gu Mingming and pursed his lips before replying, All right, thank you. Gu Mingming smiled and didn't say a word. She snuggled back into Elvis's arms and picked up the fish from his bowl to feed him. She said, "Eat the fish while it's hot. It'll taste fishy when it's cold." Chapter 1199. The fish was stuffed into Gu Mingming's mouth. She swallowed it in amusement and said, "Isn't Leah steaming it? There are still a few more. You should try it too, it's quite delicious." Elvis kissed Gu Mingming's lips and his nimble tongue explored her mouth wantonly. He only released her after a long while. His fingers gently caressed the sparkles at the side of her mouth and he smiled. "Yeah, it's quite delicious." Gu Mingming pouted delicately. Annoying. She didn't say anything else. After Leah steamed all the fishes that Fei Rui brought, everyone ate to their heart's content before preparing to set off. Elvis and Leah had already prepared everything they needed for the journey. Gu Mingming only needed to bring herself along. Barit and Joshua led the entire tribe to send Gu Mingming to the boundary of the tribe. They watched her leave before returning. "That little fish just arrived and you threw him aside. Tsk Mingming, you're really heartless." Leah wagged his tail and laughed. "You even ate the fish that he brought and accepted his gifts. You want everything but him. Mingming, you're so bad." Gu Mingming smacked Leah. "Don't spout nonsense. Fei Rui did not give me those things with the intention of what you said. Otherwise, I wouldn't have dared to accept them." "Oh, if it's not that kind of intention, then tell me, why would a male bring food and toys from afar for a female?" Gu Mingming thought for a while. "It's probably similar to returning home for the new year, and returning to the company to give local specialties to colleagues he's closer to. It's just that their home is in the deep sea, so the specialties he brought are more expensive." Company, colleagues, returning home for the new year. No one present understood what she meant. But seeing that Gu Mingming clearly had no intentions towards Fei Rui, Leah and Elvis didn't mention it again. After all, if they talked too much, what if Gu Mingming really fell in love with that fellow? The distance between the Mecca Desert and Saint Nazaire was quite far. With Gu Mingming's attitude of walking and having fun at the same time, she would need about a month to get there. Fortunately, among the 4 males in the team, Elvis and Lee's tolerance towards Gu Mingming was limitless. Although they really wanted the heart of the desert, they were not in a hurry. They did not want Gu Mingming to be exhausted and run around for the heart of the desert. Being able to see her smiling face was more precious than anything else. Wabi was even simpler. He didn't care about the heart of the desert. Every now and then, he would provoke Gu Mingming, causing her to swing her arms and fight him, or use her little mouth to make him speechless. That itself was very interesting, so it didn't matter where they quarreled. As for Oriton, as long as there was meat to eat, he didn't care about anything else. It had been a long month of travel, but with the company of his lover and friends, it didn't seem so difficult. When Gu Mingming stood at the border of the Mecca Desert, she felt a scorching and dry sensation from the soles of her feet. Looking around, it was all gold-like sand. There were no majestic buildings and not even a trace of life. But it was this boundlessness that deeply shocked Gu Mingming. Chapter 1200. Occasionally, the wind would blow sand into Gu Mingming's eyes, and when the wind was stronger, the sand would act like sharp hidden weapons, even leaving streaks of blood on Gu Mingming's face. Elvis's heart ached, so he could only use the beast's skin to cover Gu Mingming. "Although it's very hot, bear with it, all right?" Gu Mingming lay on Elvis's shoulder, looking listless. Although she was mentally prepared, the temperature had gradually risen along the way, so she wouldn't feel unbearable because of the sudden high temperature. However, the desert's climate was really harsh, and it was more torturous than she had imagined. Elvis and Leah did not want Gu Mingming to be exposed to such a terrible environment, so the 4 males decided to travel day and night to Fedatin City to meet Bayan as soon as possible. But there were no landmarks in the desert, and although Wabi was born here, he had not been back for 800 years. He was used to the humid climate outside, and although it was not to the extent that he could not bear it, it was still uncomfortable. Looking at the snakeskin that was about to split open, Wabi despised himself in his heart. Tsk, He had really lived like a prince for the past 800 years. Although Oriton had left for a shorter time than Wabi, he did not return after leaving. Now he was relying on his childhood memories, so it was difficult for him to find Fedatin City quickly and accurately. After wandering in the desert for 3 days, the food they had prepared along the way had already been exhausted. Oriton said that they would be able to reach Fedatin City in the evening, so it was just a situation where they missed out on lunch. Gu Mingming felt that it was bearable. Elvis and Leah were worried that Gu Mingming would starve, so they simply transformed into beasts to speed up their journey. However, they had not gone far when they saw a group of rattlesnakes fighting with a group of scorpions. Gu Mingming patted Elvis, signaling him to stop, before lying down and watching from a distance. So there are group fights in the desert too. Gu Mingming chuckled and said, "Lunch is settled." "What are you doing?" Wabi looked at Gu Mingming in shock. Gu Mingming raised her eyebrows and let out 2 hissing noises. The fighting rattlesnakes were stunned, before they scattered in all directions. The scorpions were stunned, as they had never encountered such a situation before. He was stunned for 2 seconds and wanted to give chase, but he found that he was already surrounded. Wabi swung his snake tail and knocked them out on the spot. Gu Mingming ran over happily and picked up the scorpion that was as big as the size of 2 palms without its tail and claws. She broke off its pincers, head and tail one by one, then wrapped them up with the snake skin and placed them on the surface of the sand to roll around. Because the temperature of the sand on the surface of the desert was extremely high, the scorpion was basically cooked after a few rounds. Gu Mingming smiled like a demon in the journey to the west. Shaking her shoulders, she opened the snake's skin and peeled off the scorpion's shell. The aroma of meat wafted out. Gu Mingming grinned and handed one to Wabi, then looked apologetically at the other 3 males, especially at Oriton, whose eyes were shining brightly as he swallowed his saliva. "These scorpions are poisonous. Besides Wabi and I, the rest of you will be in danger if you eat them. Sorry, bear with it. Wait till we reach Fedatin City before you eat." Chapter 12:01. After eating, Elvis carried Gu Mingming and continued their journey towards Fedatin City. Before the sun had set, they successfully reached the city gates. So it really is a city. Gu Mingming looked at the city walls built with large bricks. Although it was so weathered that it probably could not even withstand a single punch from Gu Mingming, it still looked like the kind that archaeologists would risk their lives to dig in. Someone was sitting on the city gates. He looked down at Gu Mingming and the rest. When he saw Gu Mingming, he frowned and sneered. "You dare to bring a female here? Do you have blind confidence in your own abilities, or are you just plain stupid?" Gu Mingming tilted her head to look at Oriton. She asked in a small voice, "What rules?" Oriton rolled his eyes at the person on the city walls. "He has been under the sun for too long, and his brain has melted. You don't have to care about him." Gu Mingming laughed softly. "I haven't heard you use such a venomous tongue to rebuke someone in a long time." Oriton glanced at Wabi. "Poisonous snake? Isn't the poisonous snake Wabi? He is clearly a tiger." He did not refute Gu Mingming because if he provoked her, Leah would not cook meat for him. "Let's go in. I'm hungry," Oriton said and led the way in. As soon as he crossed the city gate, unfriendly gazes came from all directions. It felt like he was a lost lamb that had entered the hinterland of the Amazon. Even a mosquito looked at him as if he was food. Wabi twitched his lips. "Sigh, so annoying, can we eat them?" Gu Mingming patted Wabi's shoulder. "Bear with it for a while. Find Bayan first." Once Gu Mingming said that, the entire world quietened down. It was not an exaggeration to say that even the sound of the clouds drifting in the sky could be heard clearly. Bayan was a name that could not be mentioned here? Gu Mingming had this understanding. Why would a person whose life and death were unknown for 1,000 years become a taboo topic? Gu Mingming could not understand. "Looking for me?" A cold voice came from not far away. It was just 2 simple words, but Gu Mingming could feel the surrounding temperature dropping. The covetous gaze seemed to have disappeared in an instant. Gu Mingming could clearly feel that the person hiding in the dark was slipping away like sand in her hand, obvious but untraceable. Looking towards the source of the voice, A tall and sturdy man was leisurely walking towards them from afar. He had a smile on his face and his eyes were cold. His entire body exuded a sinister feeling that could not be underestimated. That feeling had nothing to do with anger, and he did not emit any beast pressure either. It was just a strange magnetic field, as if he was a 10,000-year-old evil ghost that had walked out of hell. Even the sun could not shine on his body. Elvis carried Gu Mengmeng and took a step back. Leah used half of his body to shield Elvis, while Oriton and Wabi were already prepared for battle. Ha! Just 2 words and everyone's nerves were stretched to the limit. That person walked towards Gu Mengmeng step by step, with no intention of stopping. He did not even pause for a second when he reached Wabi and Oriton. Wabi and Oriton were immediately sent flying. Even though Gu Mengmeng had the powers of a beast king, she did not even see how he had done it. Chapter 1202. Aren't you afraid of me? The man didn't answer Gu Mengmeng's question, but threw out another one. Gu Mengmeng smiled and said, "Yeah, not really. Because you are the Beast King and feel that you are powerful enough? Not really." Gu Mengmeng smiled and shook her head. One thing that could not be denied was that this Lord Bian gave Gu Mengmeng a sense of oppression that she had never felt before. She had always been afraid of snakes and fainted the first time she saw Snake. But even then she did not have this kind of fear. The feeling of being surrounded by darkness and not being able to breathe freely, but being unable to resist was terrible. But it was not a feeling of fear that made her want to escape or beg for mercy. So, it was not that she was not afraid, just not very afraid. Then why? Bian seemed to be very interested in Gu Mengmeng and said patiently, "Everyone is very afraid of me, so you should be too. Or, will you be afraid of me after I break your limbs and eat them in front of you?" Once Bian said that, Elvis and Lee's muscles tensed up. Elvis shielded Gu Mengmeng behind him and showed his fangs and claws. Bian did not even look at them and just smiled at Gu Mengmeng and said, "Why don't I eat your partners first, then your limbs?" Gu Mengmeng twitched her mouth and asked with a smile, "Should I be more cooperative now and act like I am shivering?" Bian was stunned for a moment and seemed to be a little surprised. But it did not last long and he quickly regained his normal expression and said, "Yeah, everyone is usually scared to death when they see me. It has been a long time since I used words to threaten others. Yeah, seems like I am really rusty. Indeed, using words is not suitable for me. It is better to use force directly." As Bian said that, he grabbed Lee's neck and looked at Gu Mengmeng with a cruel smile on his face that was so sinister that even his facial features could not be seen clearly. He said, "I have not eaten a fox for a long time. I want to tell Wang Xiaoxin that you bullied me." Gu Mengmeng said in a lukewarm tone. Then, Bian's expression cracked. "You know her?" Leah was flung to the side by Bian. He took a step forward and pushed Elvis away. Then, he gripped Gu Mengmeng's shoulders with both his hands, as if he was a withered ghostly hand that reached out from hell and dragged Gu Mengmeng's body with all his might, wanting to drag her into hell. "Did she ask you to come? Really?" Gu Mengmeng pushed against Bian's hand in an attempt to struggle free, but strangely, the moment she touched him, she could not use her Beast King powers at all. Right now, she was even weaker than an ordinary girl before she inherited Snake's powers. What the hell is going on? Her son and I are lovers. Do you think we know each other? Since brute force did not work, Gu Mengmeng could only resort to using her wits. Bian narrowed his eyes and said, "The Beast King power in your body belongs to Snake." It was not a question but a statement. "You know my boyfriend? It shouldn't be a big mistake to impersonate himself from another space-time, right? That little brat gave you the tear of the beast god." Higgin chuckled and shook his head helplessly. "He's just like his father." Gu Mengmeng's shoulders regained their freedom, and she clenched her fists. The power of a Beast King was still there, so she could not touch him. Once she did, she would lose all her strength. Chapter 1203. Alright, since the hard way did not work, she would try the soft way. "Uncle Bian, hello. I am Snake's girlfriend Gu Mengmeng, the new messenger of the beast deity. I come from the same place as your beloved female Wang Xiaoxin. These two are my partners. The snake over there is a friend snake picked up from this place, and that tiger was also born here. Get lost. Bayan turned around coldly and said, I will let you go on account that you are the one that fellow likes. Don't come again or else. Bayan turned back slightly and just glanced at Gu Mingming. That feeling made her shudder. That was a murderous aura, one that was not concealed at all. Damn, using her father's words, she messed up the first impression, right? What did he ask her when he was agitated just now? Did he know Wang Xiaoxin? Yes, she replied that she knew him. Was that why he listened to her patiently? Then the second problem was, she was the one who asked me to find you. Gu Mingming decided to take a gamble. As expected, Bayan stopped in his tracks and turned to look at Gu Mingming, saying, Then prove it. That was a look that said, You are dead meat if you dare to lie to me. Making Gu Mingming's hair stand on end. Prove? How? If they were indoors, Gu Mingming could consider releasing the fox seductive fragrance and bewitching Bayan. But they were outdoors. How much fox seductive fragrance would she need to bewitch a pervert? Clenching her teeth, Gu Mingming quickly searched for useful information in her mind. Damn, there was too little information available. Wait a minute. Gu Mingming suddenly recalled something. The last time she woke up from her dream, her father asked out of nowhere, Do you know how to sing Sorrow of Separation? At that time, she said she did, and the beast deity looked very pleased. She asked if she wanted to sing it for him, but that old man said no. Could it be, damn it, let's take a gamble. I should be leisurely in the pugilistic world, drinking a pot of wine, looking at the sorrow of hundreds of flowers in my drunken stupor. Gu Mingming's knowledge of this song came from TikTok, so she did not know how to sing the A part. She could only sing from the climax and observe Bayan's reaction as she sang. Don't leave a beautiful woman to wait for you on a wild trip outside the pass. How high is your love in your dreams? Damn it, I only know a few lines, but why is Higgins so calm and unresponsive? Was he right or wrong? It should be correct, right? Otherwise, with his temper, he would have already strangled her to death or turned around to leave. It was impossible for him to stand there and stare at her as if someone had poked his acupoints. The curtain has fallen on prosperity. It's hard for me to express my heartfelt feelings. Last night, I saw the man who abandoned me. Bayan turned around and stood in front of Gu Mingming. He said coldly, Move. Action? So Gu was right. Did Higgin and Wang Xiaoxin have an agreement, and the secret code was Sorrow of Separation? Driven by him? But what action? She knew a few lines of the lyrics, but who knew what god Wang Xiaoxin had danced? He gritted his teeth. Now that he was riding a tiger, it was hard to get off. If he said that he was lying now, he would probably die a worse death than before. Making up her mind, Gu Mingming decided to give it a try and use the part of TikTok that the god had danced, Sorrow of Separation. Gu Mingming had never thought that one day, her addiction to TikTok could help her at a critical moment. Chapter 1204. After dancing for about 30 seconds, Gu Mingming demonstrated all the moves she learned from TikTok. Then, she clenched her right fist and made a thank you gesture with her left palm. She looked calm on the surface, but Gu Mingming was extremely frustrated on the inside. Damn it! Would she expose herself? If she could not exert any strength after touching him, she would definitely be a weakling. Bayan leaned forward and suddenly smiled. That smile changed the atmosphere of the entire world. The sunlight seemed to shine through the haze, gradually dispersing the coldness. Wouldn't it have been better if you had said she called you over? How naughty. She passed just like that? Gu Mingming could not keep up with his pace, but she did not say much. She just helped Elvis and Leah, who were sent flying by Bayan, up before following behind him. So Uncle Bayan, can you give me the heart of the desert? Yeah, I will give it to you. Bayan smiled faintly. It was clearly just a slight smile, but somehow, Gu Mingming felt that Bayan looked very blissful. He was completely different from the person who was at the peak of hell just a moment ago. The entire scene had instantly turned into heaven. It was as if he could play the role of Cupid if he had a pair of wings. Just a person called over by Wang Xiaoxin could make him so happy? Could it be that a man who had been single for thousands of years could orgasm just by hearing his ex-wife's name? Gu Mingming could not understand, but she still followed behind Bayan and asked, "Then when will you give it to me?" Bayan stopped in his tracks and turned back to look at Gu Mingming. His eyes narrowed into a line and the corners of his lips curved up so beautifully. He reached out his large hand and caressed Gu Mingming's little head. "Don't be anxious. I will give it to you after I settle some matters." "Oh." Gu Mingming nodded. Thinking about it, he must have his own matters to settle, right? She was also embarrassed to ask him to bring her to find the item first. After all, her father had already said that the reputation of the messenger of the beast deity was not worth a single cent to him. A second-generation immortal like her was just a fart in his eyes. Gu Mingming did not want to drop because of Wang Xiaoxin, so she said very sensibly, "Then let's find a place to settle down first. When Uncle Bayan is free, you can bring us to find the heart of the desert." Higgin shook her head. "No, you must stay with me at all times." Gu Mingming was shocked. Did she meet a pervert? Damn, a 1,000-year-old demon snake had already caused Gu Mingming to break down. Now there was another one. And it was her boyfriend's stepfather. This was going to be incest. No. This really won't do. Bayan looked at Gu Mingming's guarded expression and could not help but smile. "You really resemble her. How long has it been since I last saw such a reaction?" "Yeah, it's been 1,000 years. Don't worry, no matter how similar you are, I'm not interested if you're not her. I want you to stay with me because I must personally ensure your safety. I've waited for 1,000 years. I can't let anything happen to him under my watch." Chapter 1205. Gu Mingming put on the demeanor of a well-behaved junior and said, "You may not believe it, but my partners and I are actually quite powerful. As long as the opponent is not you, at least we can protect ourselves without any problems." Bayan's smile did not change, but his aura changed subtly. Gu Mingming could even clearly feel the haze that had just been dispersed by the sun gathering again. Disobedient children will be punished. Bayan's voice was cold and almost emotionless as he said, "I don't like people disobeying me, understand?" "Uncle Bayan, you are right." Gu Mingming smiled obsequiously and said, "Why would we need to compete when we have such a powerful backer? Uncle, please take care of us, good girl." Bayan chuckled and turned to continue walking. Gu Mingming wiped the sweat off her forehead and patted the sullen faces of Elvis and Leah. It's all right. Elders are all like this." Bayan brought Gu Mingming back to a building. How should she describe it? Gu Mingming's first reaction when she saw the building was to hang a banner with the words Dragon Gate written on it. Damn it, one look and she knew it was a scam. Did they sell barbecued pork buns or something like that? Bayan's jaw moved a little, and there was a slight sound of bones rubbing against each other. Gu Mingming did not know what he was doing, but in a short while, many scorpions swarmed over like a tide. Damn it. Gu Mingming was so scared that she broke out in a cold sweat and jumped into Elvis's arms. Wabiai immediately revealed his true form and lifted his head high. He then used his tail to wrap Elvis up and placed him on his head to widen the distance between Gu Mingming and the scorpions. Gu Mingming still screamed. It was an earth-shattering aura. She was not afraid of scorpions, but she was scared of a bunch of scorpions. Gu Mingming had goosebumps all over her body as she kicked her legs in Elvis's arms, as if she was trying to fling something out of Elvis's arms. Gu Mingming's hair stood on end as she felt goosebumps all over her body. Gu Mingming screamed until she could no longer make a sound. She closed her eyes tightly and grabbed onto Elvis's arm, screaming hysterically. "Xiaoming, it's all right now. It's all right now." Elvis patted her back gently to comfort her. Gu Mingming screamed until she was almost out of breath. She only calmed down after hearing Elvis's words and opened her eyes carefully. "What the F***ck? I'm looking into Higgins' eyes. It's scarier than looking at countless scorpions crawling on my body. It was like sitting by the window looking at the night view and suddenly seeing a ghost. I called you over because I thought you liked it. Why are you so scared?" There are actually people who are afraid of food. You are really strange." Bayan stood up and distanced himself from Gu Mingming. Then he stomped his feet lightly and said, Put her down, she's not screaming anymore. In front of Higgin, Wabi-Ai's temper was as docile as a snake in the zoo for the tourists to take pictures of. He lowered his head and lay on the ground obediently. Only after Bayan and Elvis jumped down did Wabi-Ai revert to his human form. Gu Mingming thought about it. The only time she ate a scorpion in the beast world was this afternoon. So, did Bayan see it then? Chapter 1206. Bayan looked at Gu Mingming in surprise. What are you talking about? Gu Mingming lowered her head. I know you must be very angry. That's right. If someone barges into my Snake King Valley and roasts my little snakes to eat, I will definitely be very angry too. I might even put the other party on the fire to roast. Ha! Bayan chuckled. You are someone she called over. What's the big deal about eating a few scorpions? You are so timid. This is unlike her. Then you are not angry? Bayan shook his head. I sincerely called them over for you to eat. It's fine if you are afraid. Gu Mingming heaved a sigh of relief. Her father really did not lie to her. This master Bayan was really good at doing whatever he wanted. But thinking about it, Snake seemed to have done something similar before. He picked up a little snake beside him and asked if she wanted to eat it. He even said in all seriousness that I heard snake meat is very nutritious. The stray beasts paying tribute will only come again in half a month. So if you are hungry during this period, you can only rely on your own abilities to find food. Both of you came from here. You should know the rules, right? Bayan glanced at Oriton and Wabi-Ai. His gaze was filled with a chilly smile. Yes. Oriton nodded expressionlessly as a reply. Leave this little thing by my side. I will look after it. But your food, settle it yourselves. With that, Bayan grabbed Gu Mingming by the back of her neck and pulled her out from Elvis's arms. He placed her at the side. Then he looked at Gu Mingming. Does she have any message for you to pass on to me? This she was naturally referring to Wang Xiaoxin. But what message was there to pass on? She had never seen Wang Xiaoxin before. The sorrow of separation was told to her by her father's own daughter. Her actions were seen on TikTok. If she said no, judging from Higgins' expectant eyes, would he kill her if he was unhappy? Damn it. She clearly had the powers of a beast king. Why couldn't she use it when facing him? She felt so passive. Gu Mingming was so flustered. Bayan stared at Gu Mingming for a long time. Seeing that she did not speak, he sighed. I know. I will ask her myself after everything is settled. Gu Mingming laughed and did not say a word. He didn't expect that even an old monster that had lived for more than 1,000 years would believe in the beast deity's embrace after death. What do you want to eat? I'll get some for you, Higgin asked softly. Gu Mingming shook her head and said, Don't bother, my partner will take care of me. Them? Bayan smiled lightly and said, In Fedatin City, with just them alone, who knows who is whose food? Gu Mingming felt her scalp go numb and asked, What do you mean? Higgin raised his eyebrows and smiled. How dare you come to the Mecca desert without knowing anything? Should I call you brave and fearless, or reckless and ignorant? So what exactly does it mean? Gu Mingming felt even more uneasy. Bayan chuckled and said, Every month stray beasts would come to Fedatin City to pay a tribute of food, and all the beast men in the city would fight for it with their own strength. But how much food do you think the stray beasts can bring? Is it enough to feed an entire city? Gu Mingming shook her head instinctively. Higgin chuckled and asked casually, What do you think we should do when we don't have enough food? Chapter 1207. Bayan raised his head and smiled like a red spider lily blooming in hell, charming and dangerous. Survival of the fittest, the winner gets to eat alone. You are either the hunter or the hunted. Going out to kill or be killed. Was that what it meant? No wonder the person sitting on the city gate spoke so strangely, and the stares she felt when she entered were so strange. Ha! It was not a misunderstanding, she was really being treated as food. Although she was used to eating things like lions, tigers and bears, Gu Mingming really could not overcome the psychological barrier of eating orcs. Uncle Bayan. Gu Mingming decided to abandon her dignity and act cute. Bayan clicked his tongue and said, I will call the scorpion, or you can call the snake. Choose. Scorpion. Gu Mingming decided without hesitation. Because she could understand snake language now, eating a snake in front of her was no different from eating a human. In the past, she did not dare to eat snakes because she was afraid of them, but now she really could not bring herself to do it. Bayan was just about to move his jaw when Gu Mingming immediately pulled his arm and said, Small. I am scared if there are too many. The word helpless on Bayan's face made Gu Mingming smile awkwardly. She had no choice. The sight of the scorpions swarming over like a tidal wave was too scary. They were not filming Grave Robbers Chronicles. There was no need for such terrifying special effects. With 2 gurgling sounds, 70 to 80 scorpions gathered over. Because they were bigger, they looked rather scary. But Gu Mingming, who had been frightened by the scene just now, did not jump up. She just nodded and said, Wabiai, smack them to death. Wabiai glanced at Bayan and did not dare to make a move. Bayan rubbed Gu Mingming's head and said, Let me do it. That would be so embarrassing. Gu Mingming said as she rubbed her little hands together. Her face was beaming and her eyes were filled with the words, Please start your performance. She said one thing but meant another. Bayan did not say much and just stood up to walk to the center of the scorpions. He gently moved his fingers and all the scorpions were like toys without batteries, instantly losing all signs of life. Leah knew about Gu Mingming's cooking method in the afternoon, so he picked up the scorpions one by one to cook, not letting Gu Mingming tire herself out. Bayan used his fingernail to cut his finger and wiped a trace of blood from everyone's mouth. Eat it, and you won't be afraid of the scorpion's venom. The males did as they were told without hesitation. The disparity in strength meant that Higgin had no reason to lie to them. If he wanted them dead, he could probably just stare at them. Bayan sat beside Gu Mingming, his cold gaze landing on Gu Mingming's face, as if he was looking at someone through her. Gu Mingming thought that since they were both from the modern world, she might have some of Wang Xiaoxin's unique aura. Uncle Higgin, aren't you busy? Then hurry up and go. After you are done, you can bring me to find the heart of the desert. Bayan leaned his body backwards with his elbows supporting the back of his body. He looked like a demonic cult leader lying on the battlefield, bewitching and terrifying. He glanced sideways, his gaze calm and not sharp. He was clearly smiling but no one could guess his emotions. He hooked his finger at Gu Mingming and said, Little girl, let me tell you a story, how about that? Gu Mingming was stunned. Chapter 1208. Once upon a time, there was a scorpion living in the desert. He had no memories, no name, no companions, and no heart. Living had no meaning to him, similarly death had no meaning. So he did not seek to live, nor did he seek to die. He just lived on aimlessly. Until one day, another person appeared in the desert. She squatted in front of him and poked his poisonous tail with her finger, saying to him, Hey, are you lonely? Are you lonely? But the scorpion did not understand. What is loneliness? Is it a specific grain of sand in the desert or a piece of cloud drifting in the sky? Bayan's eyes sparkled because of this sentence. In that instant, everything in the world lost its color. Gu Mingming looked at Bayan, who was telling the story like a storyteller, but kept himself out of it, as if he was telling someone else's story. Gu Mingming was a little lost in thought. Towards Wang Xiaoxin, Gu Mingming's impression was that of a joker who used a book of 300 poems of the Tang dynasty to fool the Snowfox tribe for thousands of years. She was a cruel woman who dug out Whale's heart with her own hands. She was a crazy woman who gave birth to a son just to use him to open the doors of time and space. But in Bayan's eyes, she must have a most beautiful side that no one else knew. Gu Mingming did not interrupt Bayan, and just listened quietly. Her hand was bleeding, but she did not care at all. She just sat on the ground and said beside the scorpion, What a coincidence, I'm also alone. Do you want to accompany me? Accompany me to wait for someone. This time, I accompanied her for 13 winters and summers. She never said who she was waiting for, nor did she say how long she was waiting for. She just taught the scorpion how to evolve into a human, how to level up, and how to find green bricks to build a house in this endless desert when she had nothing to do. In the end, she built a city here and named it Fedatin. In beast language, it means return date. The person she was waiting for did not come, but her son did. After the mother and son met, they clearly recognized each other, but did not exchange a single word. They just looked at each other. Then she threw a little snake to her son. Her son then carried the little snake and left. Gu Mingming frowned. So Snake had been here and met Wang Xiaoxin, but why did she not have any relevant memories? Bian continued to narrate the story in a nonchalant tone. His gaze landed on Wabiai for a moment and darkened. He clearly knew Gu Mingming's doubts, but he did not answer her and just continued. After her son left, she said to the scorpion, "I'll give you a name, Higan." It was a kind of flower, and the flower language was the gentleness of the devil. When the flower blooms, one red and one white, both symbolize death. However, the white mandala blooms on the road to heaven, while the red mandala blooms on the road to hell. Guard hell for me. If someone comes here with my entrustment in the future, give her this mandala, and let her help me bring that person back. Baiyan's gaze landed on Gu Mingming's face. He was clearly smiling, but it made Gu Mingming feel miserable. Gu Mingming could not understand her own feelings. His eyes and lips were filled with bliss, but this bliss had a heart-wrenching bleakness to it. Chapter 1209. I don't know when it started, but the stray beasts gradually stepped into this desert. They fought fiercely and disturbed his life. They even set their greedy eyes on his red spider lily. At first, the stray beasts attacked him one by one. Then it turned into groups of stray beasts attacking him. Those seemingly endless stray beasts swarmed towards him. Then he became a demon in the massacre. Stepping on the mountain of white bones, he felt hunger for the first time. So he sat on the mountain of corpses and started eating the stray beasts at his feet. In the end, not even a bone was left. So he was worshipped by the stray beasts as their lord. His name became a taboo in this world. She wanted him to guard the path to hell. If he did not become a demon, how could he guard it? Luckily, he did not let her down and helped her wait for the person who came to retrieve the flower. Bian straightened his body and pinched Gu Mingming's chin with his long and slender hands like those of a pianist. As if he was examining a piece of art, he said, "So of course, I will give you the heart of the desert, so that you can bring back the person she is waiting for. Only in this way can I be considered to have accomplished what she entrusted me to do and see her. So I am more anxious than you. Do you understand?" Gu Mingming nodded, not fully understanding. Bian then chuckled and let go of her chin. "The wound is not on your own body. How would you understand? But it's all right, you don't have to understand. I will slowly tell her about this loneliness when I see her." By right, Gu Mingming should have felt scared after hearing that he ate a pile of corpses. But she did not know if it was because she had seen too many things that would ruin her worldview after coming to the beast world. So this matter was not something she could not accept. In Gu Mingming's eyes, Bian was just a poor man who had fallen in love. "Uncle Bian, I have a question for you." "Go ahead." "You said you are the lord of the stray beasts?" "Then Cole. That fox." Bian thought for a while, and chuckled in disdain. "Playing house outside and declaring himself king. He is just a clown who uses his little tricks to cheat. Then you're not going to do anything about it." Bian chuckled. "The stray beasts outside are just a bunch of trash. I don't even open a garbage collection center. Why should I care?" Gu Mingming choked on her words. That's right. Compared to these monsters in Fedatin City, the stray beasts outside were just a mob, not even worth mentioning. As they spoke, Li's roasted scorpions were already cooked. He peeled off the two fattest ones and handed them to Gu Mingming. "Eat something first. Tomorrow, I'll let Wabiai and Elvis help you search for other scorpions." Gu Mingming shook her head and said, "Let's just eat scorpions, it's quite good. Moreover, the quantity is huge. I reckon that it would take 3 to 5 years to finish all of them." Leah chuckled and patted Gu Mingming's head. "Then bear with it for a few days. When we return to our place, I will make something delicious for you." Gu Mingming nodded in agreement and did not say anything else. He only thought silently in his heart. Help that person back? Who was that person? How to cross the Dharma? Wang Xiaoxin was already gone. So what if he really helped that person back? He would still be like the flower of the other shore. The flower would never see the leaves, and the leaf would never see the flower. Chapter 12:10. Gu Mingming did not reject him, but recalled the entire song of sorrow of separation in her mind, trying her best to sing it to him. With every word, Gu Mingming could feel the blood in Bai An's heart surging. He was different from Snake. Snake was muddle-headed for the past 1,000 years, while his 1,000 years was a catastrophe known as waiting. Time was like a knife, mercilessly cutting into his heart. Now he was finally released from his sentence. How could he not be excited? That night, Gu Mingming sang Sorrow of Separation, over and over again, not stopping even when her voice was hoarse. Gu Mingming was fortunate enough to appear on stage at this banquet with a time difference of 1,000 years. Then she would echo the previous messenger of the beast deity, with a brilliant beginning and a perfect ending. Gu Mingming and the rest ate scorpions in Fedatan City for 5 days. Finally, Bayan brought Gu Mingming and the rest to the city gates of Fedatan City. Bayan stood opposite Gu Mingming, smiling at her. Little girl, I have to thank you. Gu Mingming looked at Bayan in confusion. Bayan pulled Gu Mingming's hand over and placed it on his left chest. The heart of the desert you want is right here. Take it. Gu Mingming retracted her hand in fright, but Bayan held it down to prevent her from dodging. Scorpions don't have hearts. The red object throbbing in this body is the Manjasaka that she passed to me to pass to you on her behalf. It is also the heart of the desert that you mentioned. But, you don't dare to kill me? Bayan chuckled, as if he was watching a joke. Don't you want to deal with the trash outside? As long as you kill me, stray beasts within 100-mile radius of you will be terror-stricken. No one will dare to disobey you. Gu Mingming wanted to retract her hand, but she could not muster up any strength. Bayan was like a snake tempting Eve to eat an apple, constantly persuading Gu Mingming to dig out his heart. Aren't you curious? Why does this little snake and Snake have no impression of her at all? Gu Mingming nodded, expressing that she found it strange, but she just could not find a suitable opportunity to ask. Higgin chuckled and replied, she never belonged to this world, so when she left, all she left behind was a legend. All the memories of seeing her would be erased. As for me, it's the same. I was originally just an ordinary wild scorpion in this desert. It was she who gave me a heart, and taught me to taste the loneliness of the human world. After you dig out this heart, I will disappear from this world just like her. All the memories related to me will also be extracted, so you don't have to feel burdened. After you dig out my heart, you will only remember that you obtained the heart of the desert, but you won't remember that your hands were once stained with my blood. Gu Mingming's memories were filled with scenes of massacres, but she really could not bear to kill someone herself. Even when she was facing Cole, she could only dig at the right side of his chest despite her extreme hatred. She did not have the courage to dig out his heart with her bare hands. Chapter 12:11. Gu Mingming did not want to be wishy-washy, but she really could not bear to do it. For a person who didn't have a deep grudge against him, even though they didn't have much feelings for each other, at least he protected you in this demon-filled place and provided you with food and shelter. How heartless would you be to turn around and dig out his heart? I'm sorry, little girl. Bayan frowned as he grabbed Gu Mingming's hand and pressed it into his chest forcefully, pushing Gu Mingming's hand into his chest. Bayan groaned in pain as his forehead was instantly covered in sweat. His eyes were bloodshot, but his lips were full of smiles. Little girl, did you touch it? Hold it tight. I'm going to pull your hand out. Uncle Bayan, I don't want the heart of the desert anymore. Don't be like this. Gu Mingming's tears rolled down her face, as she shook her head like a rattle drum. Bayan chuckled as a mouthful of blood flowed down from the corner of his mouth. His gaze was burning as he said, it's too late, hold it tight, don't let me die with everlasting regret. With that, Bayan used the last bit of his strength to pull Gu Mingming's hand out from his chest. Fresh blood splattered everywhere, dyeing Gu Mingming's eyes red. Uncle Bayan! The Fedatin city behind them collapsed along with Bayan's body. Dust filled the air as Bayan faced the sky. There was a huge hole in his chest that was bleeding profusely, but his lips were still in a beautiful arc, so beautiful that one could not take their eyes off him. There was only the sound of the wind blowing the sand, but Gu Mingming seemed to have heard the saddest love story in the world. Bayan's eyes were still looking at the sky, as if he was saying, "It's time to return, I've reached Bayan. I can finally return to your side and accompany you to find green bricks and huge stones to build another city. We can wait for that person to return together. But this time don't leave me alone. Now I know how torturous it is to be alone." Gu Mingming's tears flowed freely as she felt a sense of sadness. She threw herself into Elvis's arms and cried until she had no energy left and finally fell asleep while sobbing. He slept for a long time. In her dream, she seemed to see a woman sitting next to a scorpion, poking its tail with her finger and asking it, "Hey, are you lonely?" The blood on the woman's fingertip dripped into the desert and blossomed into a red spider lily. When he opened his eyes again, there was only an endless desert. Gu Mingming frowned. She felt uncomfortable in her chest, as if something was pressing down on it, but she just could not recall what it was. Looking at the scarlet flower in her hand, Gu Mingming asked Elvis in confusion, "This is the heart of the desert?" How did I get it? Why can't I remember?" "Do you remember?" Elvis also shook his head and said, "I fainted not long after entering the desert. When I woke up, this thing was already in your hands." Gu Mingming leaned against Elvis's chest and looked into the distance. She said, "Hubby, I saw a movie called Dragon Gaiden when I was in the modern world. The setting in that movie is very similar to this place. When we have time in the future, let's look for some bricks and boulders in this desert, and build a black shop to sell human meat barbecued pork buns, alright?" Chapter 12:12. Gu Mingming nodded, and did not say a word. Her little head was covered by the hide, and Gu Mingming looked at the flowers in her hands blankly. She muttered softly, "Why do I feel like I have forgotten something? Something that seems to be very important. If you have forgotten, it proves that it is not important to you." Elvis's large hand pressed lightly on Gu Mingming's back, helping her to stabilize the beast's skin. He kissed her little head through the beast's skin and said, "Those things that you have forgotten will be remembered by someone else, because to that person, those memories are worth cherishing." Gu Mingming's expression changed. Gu Mingming nodded, still feeling uneasy. Then she said, "Hubby, I have not sung for you for a long time, right?" "Yeah, the last time I heard you sing was during the night campfire party. Qixuan was still unconscious. Then Jiaoyu asked you to sing a song to see if you could wake Qixuan up." Gu Mingming wrapped her little hands around Elvis's neck and smiled faintly. Recalling that time, she felt as if it was a lifetime ago. "Shall I sing a song for you? I feel that it is very compatible with this place." "Alright, I'm listening. Spring has passed, my hair has turned white. I pondered in loneliness, I cut off a strand of sorrow to cover my eyes. I am heartbroken today. We are in different places today. There is no hope of meeting you in this lifetime." The sorrowful tune continued intermittently with the wind in the desert, stirring up some quicksand. Fluttering and silly, it erased many unremembered memories of the past. Later on, there was a legend. There was a desert at the border of the beast world, called Mecca. There was no end to the quicksand there. When the wind swept the sand into the sky, one could hear someone humming a strange tune. The words could not be heard clearly, but it made one unable to help but feel sad. But who would sing in the desert? That was just the sound of the sand being blown by the wind. There was a city in the desert called Fedatin, meaning return date. That city originally had the most ruthless and unruly stray orcs in the beast world. They were existences that could easily rule the beast world if they walked out of the desert. However, they were trapped in the desert for their entire lives and could not even take half a step out. It was said that the person who imprisoned them was the master of the stray beasts. His name was a taboo and no one dared to mention it. He was above all rules and could kill on a whim. He was a demon that wandered at the edge of hell. His pure evil had also suppressed the demons that could cause turmoil in the beast world. However, the city of Fedatin had collapsed overnight, and all the evil spirits in the city were buried within, with not a single survivor. Some people said that those ferocious demons were his playthings, to pass the time while he waited. Later, when the time came to return, the person he was waiting for finally arrived. Therefore there was no need for that city, that person, and everything else to exist. Hence, he used 5 days to summon back all the demons that were not in the city and buried them all. He ended everything cleanly, and did not leave any filth in the beast world. Because the person he liked, the person he was waiting for, had said that he wanted to protect the beast world. After leaving the desert, Gu Mingming was in a bad mood for a few days. She did not know why she was feeling so sad, but she just felt that her chest was stuffy and uncomfortable. Chapter 12-13. What are you doing? You scared me to death. Gu Mingming howled. Wabiai didn't mind. Swinging his tail, he clicked his tongue and said, "Didn't you spend so much effort to go to that godforsaken place to find a broken flower to help your little wolf break through the 5th level boundary and awaken the Beast King bloodline? You have been holding that flower in your hands for so many days. Are you planning to give it to him after it wilts?" Gu Mingming then recalled that she was looking for the heart of the desert for Elvis to level up after Wabiai mentioned it. But for some reason, she felt a sense of melancholy when she looked at the flower. I can't remember where this flower came from. Is it really okay to use it directly? Could it be Cole's trap? As Gu Mingming said, she frowned. In the past, every time I looked for the 7 treasures, Cole would join in and do some disgusting things. But this time he didn't appear. TSK, I feel like I am suffering from paranoia. If he doesn't come out to cause trouble, I will feel uneasy. Leah cupped his cheek. I also find it strange. He asked Joshua to lead you to the heart of the desert, but he didn't appear. It's not like him. Elvis tugged at Gu Mingming's little hand. Whether it's a trap or not, we will know once we step on it. Gu Mingming looked at Elvis with widened eyes. You want to know? We haven't figured it out yet. What if something happens to you? Will you allow anything to happen to me? Elvis asked with a smile. I won't allow it. Gu Mingming answered without hesitation. Elvis nodded and said, I always listen to Xiao Ming's words. I will never do anything you don't allow, right? But Gu Mingming looked at the flower in her hands hesitantly. Elvis kissed Gu Mingming's forehead. As long as you don't allow me to die, even if I fall into hell, I will shatter the bridge of helplessness and swim across the river of forgetfulness to return to your side. Moreover, you have to trust my wild beast instincts. This flower is not dangerous. Gu Mingming looked at Leah, but he smiled seductively. Yes, use it. If he really dies, I can become the rightful first partner. Gu Mingming was relieved to see Lee's nonchalant look. Nodding his head, he said, Then are you ready? Elvis nodded and said, I've always told you that you're the only one in my heart, but you just don't believe me. This is a good time. You can touch it and see if there are any impurities other than you in my heart. Although it was not a murder, but to have Gu Mingming personally cut open Elvis's chest and place the red spider lily in his heart still made her tremble. What if she lost control and killed Elvis? Why don't you let Leia do it? He was a witch doctor, so he knew when to stop. I've never cut open anyone's stomach. What if my hand trembles and I become a widow? Elvis smiled as he pulled Gu Mingming over and kissed her. Silly girl. Do you think that other than you, I will allow anyone to cut open my chest? If it resisted instinctively, it might not be able to fuse with it, right? That would be the death of me. Thinking about it, Elvis was right. Other than Gu Mingming, why would he trust anyone else to put their hand into his chest and touch his heart? Gu Mingming took 2 deep breaths. All right, I'll do it. Chapter 12-14. Get lost. Gu Mingming knew that Leah was using this method to make her relax. After all, the more nervous she was, the easier it was for her to make mistakes. But how should she put it? if she wanted to kill someone, Gu Mingming would not be so lenient. Previously, when she was cutting open Cole's chest, she did not hesitate to dig a hole in his right chest. Admittedly, it was because she was angry at that time, but with Snake's memories, cruelty and bloodthirst were part of her nature. But when facing someone she cared about, she really could not bear to do it. All right, I will go prepare some herbs to stop the bleeding and suture the wound. Leah pulled Gu Mingming's little hand to his lips and kissed it. Then he gently bit her finger. Wabiai and Oratin will help you guard the cave. No matter what happens while you are performing the fusion for Elvis, just trust them. Gu Mingming bit her lip. Do you think Cole will choose to cause trouble when I am performing the fusion for Elvis? Who knows? Leah was also worried about this. After all, it would be too weird if he did not come out to cause trouble. Wabiai frowned and said to Gu Mingming, Gu Mingming, there is something I might have to tell you. Little shit, are you constipated? Gu Mingming looked at Wabiai, who looked like he had eaten shit. TSK. Wabiai rolled his eyes at Gu Mingming. I am being serious. Go ahead. Gu Mingming looked like she was all ears. Wabiai took a deep breath. Ever since you returned from the desert, you have been a little different. Me? Suntanned? I can't help it. The desert sun is so bright. The ultraviolet rays are no joke. Wabiais, are you an idiot? Expression made Gu Mingming shut her mouth. His gaze made Gu Mingming shut her mouth. She chuckled and said, I won't interrupt anymore. Go on. Wabiai composed himself again. I am starting to be a little afraid of you. Why are you afraid of me? I don't bite. Gu Mingming clicked her tongue in disdain. She wanted to joke but stopped when she saw Wabiai's serious gaze. Let me take a look. Did the mark on the back of my neck change again? Gu Mingming could not think of any other reason, and could only lift her long hair to show the back of her neck to Wabiai. They had no choice. Other than Wabiai, who was a snake, Elvis and Leah could not tell the difference between the changes in the mark. Wabiai scrutinized the mark on the back of Gu Mingming's neck and shook his head. No, it's the same as after I obtained the soul of the forest. It's the Snake Clan's protection mark. Then, Gu Mingming could not understand. Wabiai continued. Ever since we came out of the desert, I've had the urge to run away from you. You make me feel very dangerous. I can't help but hold my breath when I'm around you. When you occasionally turn your head to look at me, my snake scales will unconsciously explode, and I can feel my bones trembling. This feeling is very strange. It feels familiar yet foreign. Even the infuriated snake had never made me this afraid. Gu Mingming frowned. She felt that the situation was a little serious. She pretended to smile normally. I won't do anything to you. Why are you so afraid of me? Chapter 12:15. Wabiai opened his palms in front of Gu Mingming, his palms full of sweat. Look, this is my reaction after I attacked you with my tail. Wabiai said. I am a snake, a cold-blooded animal. I will not sweat no matter how hot the weather is. But that glare from you made my palms wet until now. Even though you are speaking to me in a friendly manner, I still cannot control myself from curling up into a ball and staying away from you. So serious? Gu Mingming frowned. In Snake's memories, there were many times when he had tortured Wabiai until he was on his last breath. Gu Mingming had also beaten Wabiai up many times, but Wabiai had never backed down. Every time he recovered from his injuries, he would return to being a good man and continue to provoke her. But this time, just because Gu Mingming glared at him, he had backed down until now? Still thinking of escaping? As for that, Wabiai nodded and said, but apart from me, Elvis, Leah and even the third-level Oratin did not feel this way. Then does that mean you have something on you that is very dangerous to stray beasts? Gu Mingming fell into deep thought, and a sentence seemed to echo in her mind. Gu Mingming instinctively murmured, as long as you kill me, all stray beasts within 100-mile radius of you will be terror-stricken. No one will dare to disobey you. What? Elvis held onto Gu Mingming's shoulders and asked. Gu Mingming shook her head and looked up at Elvis with a confused expression. I don't know, It's just that, someone seemed to have told me this before. Gu Mingming frowned and looked at Elvis. Did I kill someone? Why don't I remember anything? Elvis held Gu Mingming's little hand and kissed it. Silly girl, don't think too much. With Leah and me around, we should be the ones to kill someone. Why would we let you do such menial work? Then, I am telling you all this because I want to tell you that if I am so afraid of you, that crippled fox must be even more afraid of you. Wabi-I interrupted Gu Mingming's guess. I'm afraid it's not that he doesn't want to appear, but that he doesn't dare to go near you. Gu Mingming nodded. That's for the best. But little shit, I promise I won't bully you anymore. Don't be afraid of me, okay? Wabi-I gritted his teeth and said, I'm giving you face by being afraid of you. Don't fail to appreciate my kindness. Umph. With that, Wabi-I swam out of the cave he found at the last minute. He leaned against the entrance of the cave and panted heavily to calm himself down. After a long while, he roared into the cave. I will guard the entrance for you. Hurry up and dig. Gu Mingming knew that Wabi-I was putting up a front. He was really afraid of her. But even if he was afraid, he still gritted his teeth and stood by her side. What a good little shit. Leah kissed Gu Mingming's forehead and said, I'll go prepare too. With that, Leah pulled Oriton out. Guard the cave well with Wabi-I. I will cook meat for you when we return. All right. Oriton's reply was resolute and decisive, just like a warrior who swore to defend his territory with his life. The three of them exited the cave. Gu Mingming took a deep breath and laid Elvis flat on the ground. She straddled Elvis's abdomen and used her knee to press against Elvis's arm to prevent him from moving around due to the pain. It would be troublesome if he really hurt his heart. Hubby, that you're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.